Yo, what's good with y'all? In today's video, I got how to make Forsaken Part 6 to the series. In Part 6 is pretty much just combat. I had made it so that the killer has M1s and stuff. Made a hitbox system so that automatically creates a hitbox whenever player's character is added, as well as I added abilities and stuff. I didn't actually code any abilities, just where you would put your code for your abilities and whatnot, like where to put it and stuff. I have a ton of videos on various abilities, so you guys can go watch that stuff. And yeah, so you guys are another drill. Continue to show the series love and support, and I'll continue adding more and more stuff to the series and updating stuff and whatnot. So yeah, just keep showing series love and support. Thank you for all the love and support I've shown on the channel so far. Summer's going great, and let's go ahead and get straight into it. Okay. So first things first, you're gonna go over here to your character folder, right? You're gonna open this up. You can either do this for a killer or a survivor, it doesn't matter. I I'm gonna use my default character, which is the noob, because it's my default one. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to open up the new folder, right? You're gonna open up your class folder. You're going to let me just make sure. Okay, I'm good. So you're gonna head on over to your slots, right? You're gonna insert a number value into the slots, right? Into each slot. You're gonna name this cool down, and then as the name implies, this is the cooldown for each ability. Obviously you would need to do this for each character, survivors and killers. And you would just set this to the time. This is the duration of the cooldown in seconds, right? Then you can really just copy, and then if I just select both of them, I can just right click and paste. Okay, clearly I'm not as smart as I thought I was. Okay, slot 3 2. Okay, let's try it like this. Yeah, paste into selected. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I'm not stupid. Okay, so then we're just gonna change the cooldown time. Just give them all like random times and stuff, you know. So boom. So you're gonna put that inside of each slot. So it has its cooldown, and then once you're done, that's it. Remember, it is a number value. Rename it to cooldown, and then set its value to whatever the cooldown time should be. Then, right, we're done there. You're gonna go to Core GUI, open that up, open up your hotbar and stuff, right? You could just make the hotbar visible. Now, I want to say this to make this very clear. We're only setting this to visible for this video so that we can test it at the end. When you are done with this video, make sure you set it to not visible and stuff. I don't want people to go to my server complaining that they need help and the whole time they just forgot to make it not visible and stuff, right? So yeah, so we're just doing this just so that we can test it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to your slots, right? You're gonna open them all up and stuff, right? Your slot image labels, and then you're just going to find the cooldown text label, right? Remember we made this in the first part of the series. So you're just going to select all of them. So you do this by selecting one, then hold the control keybind, so CTRL. You're going to hold that down and then just select all of them, or you can do it individually, up to you, but this would just save us some time. So what you want to do is, right, just to double check on properties, make sure that they have no text, make sure that they are visible by default, and make sure their background transparency is set to 1, which this is how it should be, but just to make sure. And then what you're going to do is you're going to set their background color to red. That is going to indicate that it is currently on cooldown, right? And then yeah, so obviously you're not going to be able to see it now because our background transparency is set to 1. We're going to set it to 0 and stuff when a player uses an ability. So then that's it for the hotbar frame. Very minor changes to stuff outside of the code and stuff. So now we can move on to the coding changes. So let's go ahead and open up our core local script. We're going to scroll down just a little bit right here, right? You are going to click right here. You go after this end, enter, go up, you'll say else if input dot keycode is equal to enum dot keycode dot q, because remember these are our abilities, keybinds are q, e, and r, but of course you can use whatever you want, it's up to y'all. And not processed, enter. Then what you're going to say is you're going to get the ability name. So you're going to say ability name is equal to, now I want to be very specific here, okay? I want to clarify something. So we'll say core GUI dot hotbar frame dot slot 1 image label dot ability name text label dot text. Now I want to clarify something. Keep in mind, right? If you notice, mine is QER, right? QER, like it goes in that order specifically for the hotbar, which means the Q keybind is for slot 1. The E keybind is for slot 2, and the R keybind is for slot 3. So make sure yours is set up the exact same way, or you're gonna have to change the code, right? Because pretty much this, I'm setting slot 1 as in like the Q keybind will be for slot 1. So if you want Q to be for slot 2, then you know you'd have to obviously change this and stuff, right? Yeah, but yeah, then we're gonna fire their mode event. We're gonna say core event fire server in quotation marks. We're going to put combat. Then you're gonna go on the outside, comma. In quotation marks, you're going to put ability comma, then you're going to send over the ability name, right? Then the great thing is we can just copy and paste this to save ourselves some time. So you're just going to select that whole else if, copy, paste, and paste. So Control plus V. Then you're just going to change this stuff, right? So then for our second one, we have E. And then you're just going to change this to, oh, my bad. This is actually supposed to be slot 1. That's supposed to be slot 1. This is supposed to be slot 2. And then you're going to go down here, do the same thing, R, change this to slot 3, and then there we go, right? Just like that, we are done with that part. Then you're going to go and actually add something. So you're going to skip this end right here, right? So enter. Then you're going to say else if oh my bad, input. I feel as though I have done something wrong, because why isn't it? I'm confused. If I skip this end, wait, let me just go find it actually. So it's right. Keyboard. Else if input. I feel as though I've done something wrong. I have done something wrong, guys. I am so sorry. Okay, because I know this is going to confuse people. People get very confused when I do stuff like this. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Here's what you guys are going to do, right? Let me see. Actually, I think I can just delete this because then, yeah, you don't need that. Okay, so here's what you're going to do, right? You're going to select all this stuff, right? Now, because people tend to get very confused when I do this stuff. I don't know why or how, but you're going to select all our else statements, right? You're going to copy that or cut it, and then, or just delete it, right? But make sure you copy it first, right? You're looking, I accidentally did the wrong one. I did here instead of here, my bad. So you're going to click this arrow for line 49. If input.keycode, it may be, the line number may be different for you. You're just looking for if input.keycode is equal to left shift for the sprint system, right? You're going to go after that end, enter, then you're just going to paste it. So paste, boom. The way it should work, you should see it like this, right? It should be like that. Because I was wondering, like, well, I was confused. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to skip an end after this, which I'll leave two ends. Now we're going to say else if input. There we go. Input.user input type is equal to enum.user input type dot. Here you're going to put mouse button 1 and not processed into, which means, of course, the player's not typing in chat. So those were abilities. Now we need to do M1s. So we're going to say core, okay. Cannot type core event fire server in quotation marks, put combat comma in quotation marks M1, and then boom, just like that. We are done with that part, and now we need to handle the what is it called, the cooldown stuff. So you're gonna go down here, find the else if event that you guys recall the cutscene stuff we did in the last part. You're gonna find the arrow, boom, enter, then you're gonna say else if, okay, else if. Alright, else if event type is equal to, in quotation marks, you're going to put cooldown, enter, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a variable for the slot. So slot is equal to arg1, so it'll tell us if it's either slot 1 or slot 2 or slot 3. Then you'll create a variable for the cooldown duration, which will be equal to arg2. Boom. Then you're going to locate the cooldown text label, the specific one for whatever slot that is, whether it be 1, 2, or 3. So cooldown text label will be equal to core GUI.hotbar frame, find first child. It'll be slot, because it'll say slot 1, slot 2, slot 3. But remember, we named our image labels the word slot, the number of the slot for the slot, as well as the words image and label. So we're gonna have to say slot dot quotation marks image label, right? Then go on the outside, you're going to say dot cooldown text label, because then we need the text label, right? Then you're going to you're going to make it so that you're going to say cooldown text label dot transparency is equal to 0, so that it's visible. And then you're going to set up a tween. So you're going to say, look, cooldown tween, right, is equal to ts create, put your cooldown text label, comma, tween info dot new, right? Then you're going to put your cooldown duration, comma, enum dot use whatever easing style you want, linear, comma, enum dot easing direction, again, use whatever you want. Then go in between the parentheses, comma, special brackets, then you're going to put transparency is equal to 0, or sorry, 1, right? It'll slowly become transparent and stuff once the cooldown is finished. Then you're just going to say cooldown tween play, And then just like that, we are done with the cooldown stuff and we're done with the local script. Now let's move on to the server script. Okay. So you're going to then open up the core server script. The first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a variable for our combat module, which we need to create. So you guys see the server script over here. We are going to click the plus icon, right? You're going to insert a module script or just, type it whatever. Module script. You're going to want to rename this to combat module. Boom, right? We'll come back to this. Don't be alarmed. We will come back. So we're going to come back here. We're going to create a variable for it. So combat module. We're going to say require script dot combat module, right? Then we're done with that part. We're going to come all the way down here to our character added stuff right here. Boom. So like where we do the health and everything. So the first thing we're going to do is once the player has character is added and whatnot, we're going to say combat module dot create hitbox. We haven't made this function yet, but we will. Then they're going to send over the player's character. So every time the player's character is added, we will create a new hitbox for them, right? So that's good. Then we will scroll down, right? I needed to add a second argument because remember we sent over multiple pieces of information for the combat stuff. So we will say comma arg2. We will add that. Then we will go right here and then enter, go up. You'll say else if event type is equal to in quotation marks combat, enter, right? Then you will say create a variable. You'll say combat type is equal to arg1. Then you'll say if combat type. I meant to skip. You'll say if combat type is equal to in quotation marks M1. So if a player's trying to, M1 or whatnot, and you also need to double check something, you need to make sure the only people, to my knowledge at least, the only players who can use M1s and stuff or do M1s, I should say, are the killer, not survivors. So you're gonna check to make sure that they're using a killer. So you're gonna say in a character folder dot killers, find first child's player.class.value, just to double check. Enter, then you'll say combat module .m1. Again, we'll create this function after we're done here. Then you'll send over the player's character. Enter, then you'll say else if combat type is equal to in quotation marks ability. Enter. Then you will get the ability name is equal to arg2, right? Then you will get the class name. Say class name, which is just the name of the class. So say is equal to player.class.value. Enter, then you'll say combat module. Again, we will add this. So you're gonna say regular bracket class name, go on the outside, in parentheses, send over the player as well as the ability name. Stuff, right? So I want to clarify what this is doing, right? So the way this is going to work is you're going to have functions for each individual character. What that means is, right, for the noob and stuff, I'm going to have one function that handles all three of noob's abilities and stuff. Because there's like two ways you could do this. Well, there's multiple ways, but the two ways I was thinking of, you could either have a separate function for each individual ability, or you could have a function for each character and then just, have if statements to handle each thing. So I decided to go with like functions for each character and stuff, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to say comment module. It's going to search for a function on this comment module script that has the class name. So obviously the name of the function has to match the exact name of the character, right? Or the class, whatever you want to call it. Then it'll just send over the player instance as well as the name of the ability. So we will come here. We will change this. So we can delete that. We're gonna say or actually let's do this. Just rename it to combat module, right? Then just Control C, Control V, right? Then we need to create some other variables. First, let's create a variable for our sound service of the game service. Oh, my bad. I don't know why I keep saying that. Game get service, sound service. By the way, I forgot to mention that actually. I do have a punch sound. And stuff. Got it from the toolbox and stuff. Very simple. Well, now you guys know I don't make any of that stuff. And yeah. Oh, by the way, I actually forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video. My bad. So for the M1s and stuff, you guys know how, I know people have asked me for this and whatnot, how each character has like their own animations and stuff, because obviously each killer is going to have their own kind of like M1 animation, because like Jason uses like a knife and other characters use whatever they use. So to do that, right, you would just go to your killers folder, and then inside of the killers folder, you would insert an animation into said folder. So animation, boom, You have to use your own animation ID. You cannot use mine. Just get animations from the toolbox if you don't already have your own. So you would just rename it. This is very important. Make sure it is specifically this. You would name one left punch animation. Name the other one right punch, right? I mean, you could do left slash right slash whatever, right? It just has to be consistent and stuff, right? So you would just do this, and then you just do this for each killer and stuff. So these are the animations for that specific killer. These are the animations specifically for Jason and stuff. So yeah, that's how you would do that and whatnot. I just wanted to get to that part. But yeah. So we'll need the sound service. Then we will need to, of course, create a variable for our character folder. So is equal to game the replicated storage, wait for child, and sorry, not replicated storage, server storage, character folder, and then lastly create a variable for our core remote event. So game the replicated storage, wait for child, core event, right? And then let me just double check to make sure. Okay, we are good. Then you're gonna go here. Here's how you're gonna create a function. You're gonna say function combat module, so the name of the module, right? I just want to clarify, not the name, not this name, this, right? Combat module dot create hitbox. We're gonna set up the hitbox the first. So remember, we sent over the player's character, enter, right? Then you're gonna set up the hitbox. So we've done this millions of times before. Well, some of y'all are new to my channel. A lot of y'all are new actually. But anyway, hitbox is equal to instance dot new. Then in parentheses, it's gonna be a regular part. Then we're gonna set a whole bunch of properties. Hitbox dot name is equal to quotation marks hitbox. Hitbox dot anchored is equal to false. Hitbox dot can collide is equal to false. Hitbox dot massless is equal to true. Hitbox dot transparent is equal to 1 unless you're testing. Hitbox dot size is equal to vector3 dot new 5 comma 6 comma 2.5 enter. Hitbox dot color is equal to color 3. That's not color 3. Color 3 dot new 1 comma 0 comma 0. This is for testing. And then you're going to say hitbox pivot 2. You're going to set it C frame to the characters humanoid root parts C frame. And enter. Then you're going to weld it to the player's character. So weld constraint is equal to instance dot new weld constraint. You're going to say weld constraint dot part 0 is equal to hitbox, and then weld constraint dot part 1 is equal to characters humanoid root part, right? Then lastly, you're going to after that part, you're going to say hitbox dot parent is equal to character. Oh my bad, not character folder, character dot humanoid root part, right? Then also you're gonna do the same thing as a weld constraint parent, but parent this to the hitbox. So boom. Now we're going to create two values, next animation and attack status. So first things first, we'll do next animation, which would be a string value. Well, both of these will be string values. So string value, what this is going to tell us is whether or not, like, let's say, so first you're going to start off with a left punch, right? Then you're going to move to right punch, then back to left. You need to keep track of that and stuff. So whatever the value is will determine, like, the animation that'll play. So we'll say next animation dot name is equal to next animation. Then next animation dot value is equal to in quotation marks. Then you put left or right here. Whatever your default is for starting, I wouldn't understand why you would start with a right punch. Usually most games is left, but you guys can put whatever you want. So this should either be one of two things, left or right. And then you parent it to the character. Very important. Make sure you parent it to the character because you want this to reset whenever whenever the player dies or like resets the character or whatnot. Then we're gonna create another value. Great thing is we can just select the next animation stuff and just copy it and just paste it. Right. So this is going to be our attack status. Attack status system is very important. This is so that we can keep track of what the player is currently doing, so that like they can't be using their Q ability and then use E ability at the same time. We need to make sure they can't use abilities at the same time. They have to wait till the other one's finished. So that they can't like continuously use M1s. They have to wait, cooldowns and whatnot. So we will say attack status, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, and Control V. The value of this by default is going to be set to nothing, and stuff that lets us know the player is not doing anything combat-wise. And then we are done with our first function. The hitbox function is done. Now on to our second function. This will be our M1 function. We are going to say function combat module dot M1 in parentheses. You're going to put character once again, then enter. Then you're going to do a check. You're going to say if character remember the attack status we just made. So the attack status dot value is equal to, in quotation marks, enter. My bad. It's supposed to be not equal. So as in little squiggly line. So pretty much if it's not equal to this, that means the player is either being attacked or is currently attacking somebody else. So we will say return, which will just end. It'll end the function. Like it'll halt execution. So assuming they're not doing anything at the combat wise, you're then going to set the attack status value set to attacking, right? Then we're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. First, let's create a variable for the player's character. So player is equal to game.players, find first child, character.name, right? Then let's go ahead and locate the animation for M1. This is what I was talking about, because remember, this is the killer stuff. This is what I'm talking about. We're locating either one of these animations. So you're going to say animation, right, is equal to character folder. Since the killers are the only ones that can do M1s, we're going to say dot killers, right? Then you're gonna do regular brackets. It's I'm not gonna lie, it's 2 a.m. I'm a little tired, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. But anyway, player.class.value. So you're gonna find their specific class, the specific character they're using, go on the outside of that. Then you're going to do regular brackets again, because all this is doing is finding the class. So we have found so let's say I have Jason equipped, we have found Jason, but now we need to find the specific animation. So we need to like search even further. So then after that, we're then going to say character dot next animation dot value, which is either going to be left or right. Then dot 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 quotation marks. Then we need punch animation just to, because that's, it's left. Because then this is either just going to say left or right. Then we need to add the punch animation part, right? So that's how we retrieve our animation. Then after that, you're going to set up the animation track. So create a variable attack at, short for animation track, is equal to character dot humanoid dot animator load animation in parentheses. You're gonna use, sorry, not script. You're gonna throw the animation in there, then enter, then you'll say attack at play, right? Then you'll also play our punch sound effect. Again, get that from the toolbox. Then we're gonna set up raycasting to detect if they're within proximity to hit another player. So first things first, we're gonna create a variable for our start position, which will be equal to characters humanoid part dot hitbox dot position. Then create a variable for our direction, which is equal to character dot humanoid root part dot hitbox dot cframe dot look vector. Then create a variable for our raycast parameters, so it's equal to raycast params dot new close parentheses enter. Then you'll say raycast params dot filter type is equal to enum dot raycast filter type dot exclude, and then raycast params dot filter descendants instances is equal to special brackets character, not character folder, character. Then you're going to say get descendants close parentheses. Then after that, you're going to put a space. You're going to create the ray. So ray is equal to workspace raycast, throw your start position in there, comma, you're going to throw your direction, but you need to multiply this by something. So multiply it by 5. You can adjust this number as need be. The higher the number, the higher the range. Pretty much what this means is this is pretty much the range for the player for how far they can hit another player and stuff, right? The bigger this number, like the further. So pretty much like if that number is like 50, I could like imagine that the wall right there is a player. I could like hit them from like all the way over here. So obviously you wouldn't want to set that to too high, but you also want to set it to like a good number to where they're able to hit people and stuff. You could also have like a range thing where it's like based on the character and stuff if you wanted to do something like that, but that's up to y'all. But anyway, you're gonna say comma raycast params, right? Then you're going to use an if statement. You're going to say if ray, so if the ray was cast, and ray.instance, which means to make contact with something, and ray.instance.name is equal to hitbox. Enter. Then you're going to create a variable for our enemy character, which would be equal to ray.instance.parent.parent. So a double, then you'll say enemy character.humanoid.health is less than equal to, put whatever damage amount you want. I'm going to put 5, but it's up to y'all. Then after that if statement, you're then going to do the animation track stuff. You're going to say if character dot next animation dot value is equal to in quotation marks left, then you'll switch it. So character dot next animation dot value will then be equal to right. So you can just after that enter, then you can just do this, type the word else, copy that if statement, copy, go right after, paste, and then boom, and then just flip these. This will be right, and this will be left. So we're updating our animations. Then after that, you're gonna last thing to do is the cooldown. So task dot delay. Shout out to whoever told me about this. Somebody mentioned this to me in the comments to use this instead of using delay function because that's deprecated. So shout out to them. So we're gonna say character folder. This is where the cooldown stuff comes into. Oh my goodness. Wait, why did I? Oh my. Oh wait. Wait. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I completely forgot to mention this. My bad. I spent so much time on the ability stuff. I forgot to talk about the M1 stuff. Okay. So one other thing you need to add to the killers, right? So for your inside of your killers folder, you need to insert another number. You need to insert another number value. So number value, right? And this is going to be your M1 cooldown because I am aware of the fact that each killer has like their own cooldown and stuff. Like some of them can like hit faster and whatnot. So you're gonna set this right to whatever that is, and just double check it. Okay, you're gonna set that to whatever that is. So all you would do is insert a number value, rename it to M1 cooldown, then set its value to whatever the time is in seconds and stuff, and then that's how long you're gonna wait. So you're gonna say character folder dot killers regular brackets player dot class dot value, then go on the outside and say dot M1 cooldown dot value comma function close parentheses, then enter. Then once you're done, you're going to say character dot attack status dot value is equal to nothing, and then boom, we're done with that, right? Now for our last function, I'm going to show you guys how to set up the character functions, right? This is very important. Make sure you're paying attention. So you're going to say function, just like we've been doing. You're going to say combat module. Then you're going to put the exact, and I mean the exact name of your class. Do not change anything. You see how it's capital N, then OOB. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this because people tend to forget programming is case sensitive. I'm going to do this, right? So noob, that's the name of my class. Enter. You put whatever yours is. Now obviously you would just do the same thing, like you would say function combat module JSON close parentheses enter. Like you would just keep doing the same thing and stuff. Like for each character, you just do that for each individual character, right? So that new. So the information we sent over is the player as well as the ability name, right? Then the first things first, let's create a variable for our player's character. So player.character. Then let's create a variable for our class folder, which is equal to character folder. We will say character folder. Clearly, in this case, since this is specifically for the new class, you would say character folder dot survivors dot kill sorry not killers dot noob. Now obviously you need to be very careful with this and stuff. Once you're making the other functions for the, like if you're copying and pasting and stuff, right, once you're doing the functions for the other characters, make sure you change this. So if it's a different survivor, change this part. If it's a different killer, you have to change this part and obviously this part, right? So then after that, we're then going to do our if statement check, which we did up here. We could just save ourselves time, scroll all the way up, just take this part of the code right here, copy, then just paste it. Check to make sure they're not currently attacking. If they're not, then we'll proceed. Then we'll need to get the current slot, whether it's slot 1, slot 2, or slot 3. So we'll create a variable for it, set it to nil by default. Then we will use a for I loop. We will say for I comma v in pairs. We will say class folder get children. Go on the outside, enter. So class folder. So just to be specific, we're not talking about this. We are talking about the actual specific class that the player has selected. So for this, it would be noob. So we're getting all of the noob children, right? What we're gonna say is we're gonna say if string dot find, then you're gonna say v dot name. So all of these names pretty much, comma, and then the string we're looking for is slot. We want to ignore stuff like skins, cost, health. We just want to look for slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, right? So then we're gonna do that. So that, and of course v dot value. To remember, the value of the slots is the name of the ability. So v dot value is equal to ability name. Then that means we found our slot. So enter. Then you would say slot is equal to v, right? Then you're gonna skip the two ends. Then you're gonna do if statement. You're gonna say if ability name, very important. If ability name is equal to, in quotation marks, And then now you would just again copy and paste the exact name of the ability, right? So you just copy and paste Control C, Control V, right? Enter. So if ability name is equal to that, then you would insert attack code. You would insert, or not really attack code, more like ability code. You would insert that right here, right? I have a ton of videos on how to make various abilities and stuff. I will not be showing you how to make abilities from the game and stuff. I try to make that clear. Then you would throw an else if, else if ability name is equal to. Oh, by the way, make sure you're going. Well, actually, on second thought, actually, it doesn't matter. You actually don't have to go in order, but I mean, it's probably just easier if you do. So then I'm gonna go slot two, copy and paste this, Control C, and quotation marks, Control V, then enter. Same thing, insert ability code. You guys don't have to write these comments and stuff. I'm just writing this just to, just so you guys know. Then same thing, else if ability name is equal to, let's go to slot 3, get that, Control C, Control V, then enter, and then same thing, insert ability code. We are almost done. Then after that whole if statement, you will then fire the remote event, core event, fire, make sure you do client singular, fire it to the player, comma, name of the event will be cooldown, this is the cooldown stuff, comma, then slot.name, so either slot 1, slot 2, or slot 3, as well as the cooldown value, so the duration of the cooldown. Then lastly, you're going to do task.delay, then we're just going to do the cooldown stuff. So we're just going to say slot.cooldown.value, comma, function, close parentheses, in between the parentheses, enter. Then you're just going to say character dot attack status dot value is equal to nothing, and then boom, right? And then that's it. Let's go ahead and test to make sure this works. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, just read the description to figure out about that. Remember, I said that we left this visible just so that we could test. Okay, so if I press Q, as you guys can see, it turned red. I cannot use it until it has, as you can see, and stuff. You'll notice I'm spamming the keybind, but you'll notice how it turns red and then goes away. I'm only able to do that like once it's finished. If I press E, I can't use Q. I can't use Q until E has finished and stuff, until the cooldown has finished. Then we have R, and then boom, as you guys can see, there we go. So that's working and stuff, right? So there's that. Make sure we have our hitbox. Open up our human root part, and there's a hitbox. And then just to double check, set a transparency, and then boom, we have our hitbox. Okay, great. I'm not gonna test the combat with like an NPC and stuff. If there are any issues and stuff, or like with M1s, like if you're testing like on an NPC or anything, I probably should show people how to do that. Actually, not thinking about it, because I know people are gonna ask. So okay, first things first. Here's what we're gonna do. We need to test the M1s. Remember, M1s don't work for survivors, which is great. This is a great test because M1s don't work because I'm a survivor. I have to change. So I'm going to change. Remember, you have to change to a killer class that has like, your animation and your M1 cooldown value. So I'm going to switch to the Jason class. So I'm going to switch to the server side, right? Go find my player in the players service. Find my class. Change its value to, oh, the police are chasing somebody outside. That's crazy. Anyway, so then we're going to change the value to Jason, right? Then I'm going to switch back, right? And then, oh, my ability's updated. Cool. Anyway, so then what you're going to do is you're going to press boom, there we go. And now I have M1s. I can still use my abilities as no. Oh, I know it is. I know it is. I didn't what's it called? I didn't add ability. I didn't add cooldowns. That's what it is. Yeah, I think that's what. Oh no, sorry. Well, I didn't. Well, that is true, but I didn't make the function for them, so that's why it's giving me that error. So don't panic if you get that error. But anyway, as you guys can see, we have our M1s. As you can see, I'm spamming the mouse, but I can, it's just one at a time kind of thing. So yeah, boom. So there you go. So yeah, if you guys want to test this with an NPC, here's what you have to do. I don't know why I just did that. So you would click play, right? You would go into the workspace, open up your character, open up the human root part, find your hitbox, copy, stop testing avatar at the top, rig builder, whatever kind of rig you want, it doesn't really matter. Find your rig, open it up, find its human root part, right click, paste into, right, set the hitbox transparency to like 0.5 so you can see it. What's probably gonna happen is it's probably gonna spawn like either down or up, or like it's low or higher. Just all you gotta do is just drag it up or down. You shouldn't have to do much moving around. It should just be like a little bit. So once you move it around, just do it like that. Transparency to 1, and then open it up. Find the wells constraint. Set the part 1 to the human root part of that NPC. Then you are good to go. Now let's go ahead and test just for the sake of testing. I'm gonna switch again to the killer class, right? Okay, so I will walk slowly, ever so slowly over to the rig, and let's see what happens. Okay, there we go. Okay, as you can see, I'm doing the damage on my M1s. Okay, so everything works. So yeah, let me know if you guys find any bugs, and let me know again what you guys want to see and stuff. I mean, and everything. Don't ask for like in a specific part. Just let me know what y'all want to see, and I'll decide if like I feel like doing that for the specific part. Cause some stuff I do want to do, which is I just don't feel like doing that now, kind of thing and stuff. But yeah, you already know the drill. Show the series love and support. Continue to show love and support, and I will continue dropping more and more parts for you guys and stuff. So thank you guys for watching the video. Really do appreciate it. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.